Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air. Police respond to an active shooter at Joel Osteen's church in Houston. A new health scare for Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin rushed to the hospital by his security detail. And millions in the Northeast brace for a major winter storm. First, the details just coming in from Houston. A gunman opening fire at Pastor Joel Osteen's Lakewood Church during a service. Frightened parishioners running for cover, gathering outside as first responders move in. The church posting on social media asking for prayers for the community. Mireya Villareal with the latest. Secretary Austin taken to Walter Reed Medical Center. A powerful winter storm is taking aim at major cities in the Northeast. Strong wind gusts, snow totals up to a foot. The severe weather threat today for the South. Our weather team standing by to time it all out. Former President Donald Trump sending shock waves through NATO, threatening to ignore America's commitments to our allies. The White House calling that appalling and unhinged as the Biden campaign defends against attacks on his mental fitness. And our new poll, what voters think about President Biden's age. International pressure mounting on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. What President Biden said to him about Netanyahu's plans to send the IDF into Rafah, the southern Gaza city where more than 1 million people are seeking refuge from the fighting. James Longman from Israel. Iranians celebrate 45 years since the Islamic Revolution amid fears of a regional conflict. Mullah Lenghi on the ground in Tehran. The dramatic rescue, a hiker trapped near rising waters, plucked to safety. King Charles makes his first public appearance since announcing his cancer diagnosis. His new message. All eyes on Las Vegas. Taylor Swift arrives for one of the most anticipated Super Bowl rematches in history. The big bucks now being spent. Will Reeve standing by. And the Friends with a decades-long streak to keep going. The group that's been to every Super Bowl since 1967.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us on this busy Sunday. I'm Rachel Scott in for Lindsay Davis. We have several breaking stories as we come on the air. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin taken to the hospital for a medical emergency and a major winter storm on the move. But we begin tonight with the shots fired during a church service in Houston, Texas. The shooter opening fire at Pastor Joel Osteen's megachurch, terrified parishioners running for safety. Authorities say the Spanish-language service was about to start when the chaos erupted, a heavy police presence surrounding the church. Tonight, the sheriff saying that a young child was shot. And the details just coming in, the police chief saying just moments ago that a woman with a rifle was killed by 2 off-duty officers. ABC's Mireya Villareal leading us off tonight from Texas.
Tonight, the sound of gunshots echoing through Joel Osteen's Houston megachurch, Lakewood.
We're shooting at Lakewood. 2 people down. We need an ambulance.
Happening just as an afternoon Spanish service was set to start with hundreds of parishioners in attendance.
I was just walking up the stairs, and when I got on the top, they started shooting. I don't know. I just heard, but it was like more than 10 shots.
Witnesses recounting the moment shots rang out.
We were sitting there with my mom, and they started shooting, and we went scared, and then we went to the chairs to try to protect us, and then everybody was crazy, running and walking all the way.
Organized chaos outside the church with dozens of first responders on scene, parents reuniting with their children as investigators work to figure out exactly what happened inside.
I saw this lady running. She almost fell down the steps. And I told her, hey, you dropped something. She said something in Spanish I couldn't understand. And I saw someone else running down the steps. And that's when I heard the 2 gunshots. I was going towards my family. And I heard another gunshot coming closer. So I was like, I can't go up there now.
Lakewood Church confirming online there was a shooting and asking users, please pray for Lakewood and our community.
We're going to keep going strong and bringing hope to the world.
Rachel, we now know the shooter was taken down and is no longer a threat. But during that takedown, we also know a young child was shot and is now in critical condition. Also, another man was shot in the leg, and he is being treated at a local hospital for that wound. As of right now, law enforcement will not speculate on the motive of the shooter, but says the church will stay on lockdown while they continue their investigation. Rachel?
Still so many questions. Mireya, thank you. Now to that breaking news about Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. The Pentagon issuing a statement a short time ago that Austin was taken to the hospital. This after Austin came under fire for failing to reveal his hospitalization in January to President Biden and other top officials. So let's get right to ABC's Selina Wang. Selina, what have we learned tonight about Austin's condition?
Well, Rachel, the Pentagon says the defense secretary was taken to the hospital this afternoon for symptoms that point to bladder issues. Now, all of this happening after the Pentagon faced intense backlash for Austin's secret hospitalization in January. On New Year's Day, Austin went to the hospital for complications from prostate cancer surgery, but for 3 days, not even the president knew about it. Now, Austin, he later apologized, saying he's a private person and that his instinct was to keep his health matters private. But clearly, the Pentagon learning the lesson this time around, they immediately notified the public, the White House, and Congress. Rachel?
A quick notification, Selina, thank you. Also breaking tonight, a major winter storm on the move. The Northeast bracing for snow as parts of the South are battered with hail, gusty winds, and possible tornadoes. Let's get right to ABC's meteorologist, Samara Theodore. All right, Samara, time this one out for us.
Well, Rachel, another night of severe storms is currently underway in the South with the threat for tornadoes and damaging winds looming. For those leaving Super Bowl parties, flood watches are in effect from Alabama to the Carolinas due to the repeated rounds of rain through Monday morning. Now, at the same time, Texas and Oklahoma will be dealing with a bit of wintry weather, and the energy from these systems will actually converge and take aim at the Northeast. Midnight Tuesday, conditions begin to deteriorate. Winter alerts have already been issued from Pennsylvania to New England, and the Tuesday morning school and work commute will be a difficult one. Totals will range from 6 to 12 inches from State College to Boston. And for coastal metropolitan cities like New York, 1 to 3 inches on Tuesday morning will make for a very messy commute. Rachel?
Yes, certainly a messy commute out there. All right. Thanks, Samara. Next tonight, the race for the White House. Former President Donald Trump threatening to upend the NATO alliance if he's reelected. How the White House and world leaders are responding tonight. Here's ABC's Alex Brachet from the campaign trail in South Carolina.
Tonight, former President Trump under fire for saying if elected again, he wouldn't protect NATO allies that don't contribute enough to the defense fund.
If we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want.
The White House calling those comments unhinged, saying during the Biden presidency, NATO is the largest and most vital it has ever been. NATO's General Secretary saying in a statement today, any suggestion that allies will not defend each other undermines all of our security, including that of the U.S. But Trump allies today trying to play down his comments.
I have zero concern because he's been president before. I know exactly what he has done and will do with the NATO alliance.
Nikki Haley spending Super Bowl Sunday making a fourth quarter push to win over voters ahead of the South Carolina primary, saying if elected, she would absolutely commit to remaining loyal to NATO allies.
We should want to keep our alliance as strong as possible. Yes, we want them to pay more, but that is not the way you get them to do it.
Haley showing no signs of dropping out. Her main message, Trump and Biden are just too old. In a new ABC News Ipsos poll, 86% of Americans think Biden is too old to serve another term as president. That figure includes 59% of Americans who think both he and Donald Trump are too old. President Biden has been facing increased criticism about running for a second term after that scathing special counsel report, which cleared him of any criminal wrongdoing, but went on to characterize him as a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. Democrats on the Hill have been rallying around the president, saying he is fit to serve.
This is a man who is sharp, who is on top of his game. Donald Trump is again going to be the candidate of the Republican Party. Joe Biden is the one Democrat who has beaten him, who can beat him, and who will beat him.
And Alex joins us live from South Carolina. Alex, President Biden preparing for a likely rematch with Trump, and now he's responding directly to Trump's comments about NATO.
That's right, Rachel. The president out with a statement tonight saying that Trump has made it clear as day that he would abandon our NATO allies if Russia attacked, calling it appalling and dangerous. Rachel.
Alex, thank you. Next tonight, a rare Sunday vote on Capitol Hill. The Senate moving closer to passing a multi-billion-dollar aid package for Ukraine and Israel. After facing resistance from Republicans, Senate Democrats now dropping the border security measures in that massive bipartisan bill, going instead with a backup plan that simply focuses on aid to Israel and Ukraine. We move now to the mounting pressure on the Israeli plan to attack Rafah. Egypt is threatening to suspend its peace treaty if Israel pushes into the border town. And now President Biden is weighing in his warning to the Israeli Prime Minister tonight. Here's ABC's James Longman.
Tonight, President Biden warning Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu against a ground operation in Rafah without a credible plan to protect civilians. Netanyahu has said the IDF must push into the southern city, which is along Gaza's border with Egypt, to ensure what he calls total victory over Hamas. But in a phone call today, the White House said Biden reaffirmed his view that a military operation in Rafah should not proceed without a credible and executable plan for ensuring the safety of and support for the more than 1 million people sheltering there. The population of Rafah is now 6 times larger than what it was at the start of the war in October. Most are living in tents. Now, families like Rassam Abu Rizq are on the move again. Because of Israelis' threats, people are afraid, he says. And day by day, the situation gets worse. No place is safe at all. Israel says they would not contemplate an operation without moving civilians, according to a senior Biden administration official. But pressure for a ceasefire is growing internationally amid fears of a famine in Gaza. Egypt, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates warning Israel of the consequences.
Is any of this giving you second thought about going in and doing this?
The answer is, John, they don't have to give me second thoughts about taking care of the civilian population, along with the provision of the necessary humanitarian aid. We've been doing it, and I've been directing it systematically.
Rachel, late today, a senior Biden administration official said there was a framework in place to release the more than 100 hostages who are still in Gaza, but that while there'd been significant progress, significant gaps remain. Rachel?
James, thank you. We turn now to Iran and the 45th anniversary of the Islamic Revolution. It comes amid growing fears of a widening regional conflict. Thousands of Iranians flooding the streets chanting "Death to America" and "Death to Israel." Some waved Iranian flags, others burning U.S. and Israeli flags. ABC's Mola Lenghi on the ground tonight from Iran.
Tonight, Iranians celebrating the 45th anniversary of the 1979 Islamic Revolution that installed Ayatollah Khomeini as Iran's supreme leader. Hundreds of thousands gathering in Tehran, young and old alike, including 14-year-old Ali Reza.
Why are you here today?
Because we want to support our countries.
Iran's military hardware on full display, a staggering show of force. Iran is not afraid to use these, this man tells me. The celebratory mood at the ceremony punctuated with the occasional burning of American and Israeli flags and chants of "Death to Israel" and "Death to America." This against the backdrop of escalating tensions throughout the Middle East. We met 35-year-old Nilufar.
About Iran getting involved in conflict in Gaza, getting involved in a war maybe with the U.S. That something Iranians are concerned about?
We're not concerned about the war. And if a war happened, we are never afraid.
Amir Ali Hajizadeh, who commands Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Air Force, with a measured warning, telling me the Americans know that they should not mess with Iran, and we are not warmongers. We do not seek war either. Speaking at Sunday's ceremony, Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi calling for Israel to be expelled from the UN for their military campaign on Gaza. Earlier this weekend, miles away from the anniversary ceremony, we spoke with average Iranians whose primary concerns are about their pocketbooks, the country's high unemployment, and crippling inflation. Shop owner Salman telling me the prices go up every day. A student named Maide says she's getting crushed under the weight of an economy in distress. Mehdi, another shop owner, telling me we are making just enough not to die.
Now, many here largely blaming the state of the economy on U.S. sanctions. And you know, Rachel, so many Iranians we've spoken to here stress to us that the anger they feel towards the West is directed at the U.S. government, making that distinction between American policies and the American people. Rachel?
Mola Lenghi reporting from Iran tonight. Thank you. And here in New York City, the 15-year-old accused of opening fire in Times Square and shooting a tourist, now charged as an adult with 2 counts of attempted murder. Jesus Alejandro Rivas Figueroa is being held without bail because prosecutors say he is a flight risk. Police say he arrived in the city from Venezuela about 6 months ago and was staying at a shelter with his mother. We move on now to the big showdown tonight. More than 70,000 fans ascending on Las Vegas for Super Bowl 58. Taylor Swift among those in the crowd after flying more than 5,000 miles after her concert in Japan. ABC's Reeve has more tonight from Las Vegas.
The wait is over as the San Francisco 49ers and Kansas City Chiefs square off in Super Bowl 58. Tonight, the 49ers trying to win their first Super Bowl since the 90s, when Steve Young was the starting quarterback. And the Chiefs,
and it's caught by Kelsey for the touchdown,
on the edge of history, trying to repeat as champions and win their third Super Bowl in 5 seasons. Both teams fighting for the Lombardi. The trophy 22 inches tall and designed and crafted by Tiffany & Co. Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce this week saying he wanted this one more than anything.
You'll hear me say this a lot, but I want this one more than I've ever wanted a Super Bowl in my life.
And this year, excitement for the big game off the field reaching new heights.
Best believe I'm still bejeweled when I walk in the room. I can still make the whole place shimmer.
Our KABC was there when superstar Taylor Swift flew into LAX from her Eras Tour performance in Tokyo, on her way to Vegas to support her boyfriend Kelce. Swift landing in Las Vegas just before game time. And another megastar looking to leave fans saying, "Oh my God." R&B icon Usher, fresh off his 9th album, leading the Apple Music halftime show, telling us it's a dream come true.
It's been a dream of mine and a bucket list. You know, they say Oscar, Tony, Grammy, Emmy. Yeah. You should put Super Bowl on there too, right?
The big game means big money. The cost of a Super Bowl ad this year, $7 million. And according to the American Gaming Association, a record 67 million people are expected to wager a whopping $23 billion. The big bucks are spent at home, too. The National Retail Federation says fans shell out more than $17 billion on food and merch for Super Bowl Sunday.
And the Lahaina Luna football team, a light in the community of Maui after that island was devastated by wildfires, recognized pregame as honorary captains at the coin toss. Rachel.
Will Reeve from the big game tonight. Will, thank you. There's so much more ahead on World News Tonight this Sunday. King Charles makes his first public appearance since the announcement of his cancer diagnosis, his message to well-wishers. And a dramatic rescue in the Malibu Hills. First responders save a hiker in distress. Next tonight, federal investigators are searching for answers from the scene of a fatal helicopter crash in California's Mojave Desert. The aircraft had taken off from Palm Springs and went down in a remote area not far from the Nevada border. All 6 people on board died. The victims included the CEO of one of Nigeria's largest banks, Herbert Wigwe, along with his wife and son. King Charles making his first public appearance since word of his cancer diagnosis. The monarch and Queen Camilla attending a church service this morning near the royals' estate north of London. Charles issuing a statement thanking the public for all the well wishes, saying they are the greatest comfort and encouragement. When we come back, the dramatic rescue, a hiker saved from the rising waters in the Malibu Hills. Details ahead. To the index now, a dramatic rescue in California. An LA County fire rescue helicopter pulling a stranded hiker to safety. The hiker was stuck on a boulder above fast-moving water in Malibu Creek State Park. The crew using special equipment to lift that hiker out of the canyon and to safety. When we come back, the friends who've been together at every Super Bowl since 1967. And finally tonight, the Super Bowl friends who've been to every single game, keeping their incredible streak alive. These 3 men in their 80s hold the distinction of being the only known fans with a perfect attendance record for all 58 Super Bowls. They are the last surviving members of the Never Miss a Super Bowl Club.
Am I surprised? I'm overwhelmed. It's unbelievable.
Don Krisman is from Kennebuck, Maine.
We thought, if we'd make the first 10, then we thought, well, maybe we'll go for 20. 25, that seemed, crazy. And here we are now at almost 60. I have trouble believing it. I know I've been there.
Tom Henschel from Town and Country, Florida, is another founding member of the club.
Yeah, I love football more than any other sport put together.
Gregory Eden of Lansing, Michigan, a longtime football enthusiast too.
I'm 84 years old and I'm in good health. You see me out there shoveling snow and stuff. So I'll go as long as I won't go in a wheelchair.
Their streak began in 1967 when you could buy a ticket to Super Bowl I for just $10.
I take 1 year at a time, 1 day at a time.
Tonight, all 3 in Las Vegas, donning their Super Bowl 58 gear, raring to go. Adding yet another Super Bowl to that list. Thanks so much for watching GMA First Thing in the Morning. I'm Rachel Scott. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.